that was when I started to really grow into my faith. Those were basically the very beginning steps of me growing into my faith. And it took me being in isolation to get there. So that's the thing. That is my story. If you guys are new to the channel, my name is Andy. I yap about Jesus and faith-related things. Welcome to the channel. Today we are talking about isolation. This one's going to be more kind of anecdotal because everybody lives different lives. Everybody has different circumstances. Yeah, everybody's natures are different. So we're all different as people, right? But what I'll talk about isolation is that my story is, coming into the faith is that, long story short, it's like the world kind of had to break me, just disappoint me, I think. And, there was a point in my life where, I was living by myself in a 2-bedroom apartment, and, you can go watch my video, my testimony video on my channel, but I'll kind of touch on that as I talk about this one too. Is that I was living by myself, kind of bachelor pad, kind of a vibe where, I had a bunch of TVs in my living room, and once a month I'd invite over a bunch of my Smash buddies, and we'd play Smash on these like old TVs. And anyways, the reason we use the TV, those old ones, is because they don't have any input latency on. They don't have any input lag, so we prefer those old ones. Anyways, the thing about isolation, man, is that the world kind of broke me, and I think that before I was in the faith, leading up to me kind of walking with Christ, is that I was isolated. I would not only would I kind of isolate myself from the world, but I would not really go out a lot. I was kind of bitter, I think, toward the world. I think a lot of aspects of the world just sort of let me down, or just kind of broke me. And it led me into kind of hermiting, and this period of isolation was quite long. And the thing is, though, it was necessary. And don't get me wrong, isolation in long periods of time, studies have shown that in fact, it's not healthy. It's, you want to be social with people. It's good to go out, engage with the world. But I was just in a phase of my life where I was just really hermit. I would, basically just, I would either be by myself in my room, alone in my apartment, or I was going to be at work with some coworkers and stuff. And I would see some of my friends, very sparingly. Honestly, I wouldn't really even go out that much. I would just stay in my apartment. I'll just be on my computer, on my phone. Nothing crazy, but it's just, I just didn't want to engage the world. I didn't even want to, I door dashed a lot of food. I very rarely even went grocery shopping sometimes. I would just DoorDash all my food, and I just didn't want to be out in the world. And it was during those kinds of times, though. It was during that time was when I started to really grow into my faith. Those were basically the very beginning steps of me growing into my faith, and it took me being in isolation to get there. So that's the thing. That is my story. The early stages of me getting into the faith, and that's kind of like the early stages of my story of getting closer with Christ, was that I had to go through this period of isolation. And I really needed it. I really did. Because it's one of those things where you might know what's good for you, but you don't really know what's best for you, right? God knows what's best for you. And even though things might look good on the surface, on the short term, there likely is always, consequences and strings that are attached that are not so obvious, right? So I think I was kind of feeling the effects of that, whether that be like through my job and relationships and stuff. And, you know, it wasn't like a depression. And don't get me wrong, this isn't like a depressive mode. This isn't like, you know, I was not suicidal. I was not depressed. I just wanted to be by myself. Like I just didn't want to be around people. I really didn't. Just the raw truth, honestly. Even my interactions at work were very, you know how it is at work. It's just, you know, it's just small talk and minimal, you know, I'm just trying to get by kind of thing. Like I'm not really trying to have deep conversations with people at work. That's just the point. Isolation for me, in a certain way, it was kind of good. You know, it was one of those things that I feel like it needed to happen. You know, from experience, let me tell you some of the other kind of, I guess, benefits of it would be that you do really clear out a lot of distraction. You know, sometimes I feel like people are trapped in some kind of frame of thinking because they're always around people. Either people that are in partnerships, you know, fornicating. I'm just going to say it. Yeah, like it. I kind of feel for some people that are in relationships because you think that you're in a healthy relationship, but I sometimes strongly get an impression that because you're with somebody that they're actually distracting you away from something greater. And that greater thing is God, and it's Jesus. But people want to carry out their lusts, so they get into relationships and they think everything is fine and, oh, we're gonna marry one day and this and that. But the thing is, man, is that because you're always with people, whether it be family, friends, or whatever it is, it's like, I feel like some people actually need to go through a phase of isolation, but they're not able to because they're always around a significant other, or whether it be siblings or whatever, family, friends, whatever it is, and they're afraid to be alone. And I feel like that's actually a big threat to that person's development, like their growth in terms of like their spiritual development, because that's what I cut off. I cut off being social. You know, for the most part, I temporarily cut off being social, and it was honestly one of the best decisions ever, because, you know, finding Jesus is just, it's life-changing. I can't even put into words, man. It's like growing into the faith has just been, it's been a whole thing, but I'm so happy that there's like this eternal, there's something in my soul that is so eternally relieved that I found Jesus. And that couldn't have happened if I didn't go through this phase of isolation. So I'm not saying that I'm not saying everyone should go through isolation. It's just one of those things that if you're in a period of isolation, bro, I feel it. I feel it 100. I know exactly what you're going through, bro. I'm not going to beat around the bush, man. It's kind of dark, and it's like an aspect of myself had to die in order for me to grow into my faith. Seriously. So if people are in isolation right now, if they're, you know, don't be in it for too long, but man, just seek the Lord, bro. Like, just seek the Lord, man, and do it earnestly. You need it. You know, it's like, man, like I definitely have days where I'm just full on distracted into the world, but then there's other days where I'm just like starving for the Lord. I'm just like thirsty. Like, it's only the Lord that can quench these thirsts. You know, the Holy Spirit is just, it's incredible. But anyways, man, yeah, I just wanted to talk about isolation. I'm, like I said earlier, like I'm not saying everybody should be going through it. This is just how I got into my early stages into the faith. I also just kind of pray for people I pray for the people that need to go through isolation, but actually can't because they're always around other people. Those people I pray for, actually. I'll tell you this too, is that actually a good friend of mine had to pass away. And I would say it in that phrasing too, had to pass away, because he was one of my very good friends. Basically, one of my friends passed away in his 30s, completely healthy. He wasn't doing drugs, wasn't smoking, no drugs, completely clean. He had just lost like 100 pounds or something, the best shape of his life, and he passed away. And the Lord was like, nah, it's his time, actually. And he only lived until, I don't know, I think he was like 34. He definitely had an influence in my life, that guy. And rest in peace, man. He definitely had an influence on my life. But honestly, looking back at it now, he probably had to die. Not even just for my sake, but I mean for a whole other, I don't know, who knows, you know, for a whole other plethora of reasons. I don't know God's plan, but if he was still in my life, I mean, yeah, I might be in a slightly different spot. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. But that death happened before, as a precursor of as going into my phase of isolation. That death was actually like a crucial death. Yeah, for me anyway, in my life. But you know, it affected a whole. I mean, you know how it goes. Anyways, man, I don't want to dwell on that too much. If you made it to the end, man, leave a comment. Tell me about your journey into the faith, or if you have to go through isolation. I know how it goes. So, but yeah, you guys, I'm gonna keep recording in this car right now. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.